I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeremy.
And we're City Calm Down, and you're watching the AU Review
Live at Big Sound.
Well, guys, welcome back to Big Sound.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up in the very immediate future. You've got a tour through October.
Yep.
It's an odd time because it's not quite the album release, but
That's
it's
true.
the singles are out, and so is it sort of like you're sort of in that frustrating time where you've got this album all ready to go and no one can listen to it yet?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. It's where there's a few songs out there. We're keen to get out and start playing some shows again, and just where the sort of album is sort of sitting the cycle, any touring that or any larger tours would have to come sort of much later, because you end up running into sort of, summer, and summer always has a lot going on, and it makes it hard to kind of do any touring that would sort of fit around the festivals and all that stuff. So so this is a really good chance for us to kind of get out and play everything. And
and we've been sitting on it for a while. We recorded it a little while ago, so it's actually really, it's quite enjoyable to actually get to perform it and have some people actually hear the album before the whole thing's out. So
How long ago are we talking?
not ridiculous, but maybe finished getting mixed in March, April. So it's a long while ago now, but it's, I don't know. I guess it takes a while for things to kind of roll out, because we haven't played, we haven't released any music in such a long time. It's sort of just been a gradual process in the lead up to it. Yeah.
And how are you feeling about it?
Good.
good.
I think there's a lot of songs in there we're kind of looking forward to sort of putting out, because it's, I guess, from where we've come, it's got a few different flavours compared to all our previous stuff, which we're looking forward to.
Bit of sriracha, some spice.
That's right. Yeah.
Bit of pepper.
Many spices.
Yeah.
So the singles that we've heard so far, is that a good indication of what we're going to hear, or kind of what you're saying is that there's going to be a bit more variety than maybe we're expecting?
Yeah, I think there's probably 3 or 4 songs particularly that are quite a contrast to the stuff we've released previously. When we went into record, it was a bit of a challenge thinking about how we were going to kind of make all these songs work together, and so they have come together, which is really good, but that was sort of a finessing thing. I think if you kind of like listen to the demos, you would be sort of hearing quite disparate there would be a lack of continuity in the record, but sort of particularly from the synthesizers, and it really sort of acts as a glue to hold everything together throughout the whole thing. So, but
It got there, and we were blessed with the time to finish it off properly and do it the way we wanted to do it, which is
and blessed with a producer who was willing to put in many overtime hours.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Yeah. We haven't forgotten about you, Malcolm.
Do you guys want me for a minute, just because I'm coughing?
Sure.
Can I rub it?
You won't be able to get back in. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about who you worked with on the record. Tell me about Malcolm. Tell me about the team behind the record.
Yeah.
The team behind the scenes.
Mr. Besley.
Yeah. Malcolm has produced everything we've done since the Movements EP in 2012. So, we haven't got an extensive back catalogue, so it's not like, what's his name, Nigel Godrich, or...
Yeah.
But, he's been a really influential part of...
sculpting our sound.
Yeah. And he's just also been a true believer, I think, and you need true believers, because otherwise, you've got your own doubts, and he's just kind of been rock solid the whole way through. I remember catching up with him for dinner probably maybe 6 months before we recorded, and we hadn't really talked about or thought about who we were going to get to produce it, and he was just like, I want to do it. And that was a really sort of affirming moment that we knew, like, even then we still hadn't made up our mind, but we knew that if we decided to produce it with Mel, that he was going to be there 110%, and he put in about 210.
Yeah.
And it was like so many days of just overtime on the mix and everything. So
And even when our sanity began to slip, and we're at the end of our tether, he was the one who would always rein it back in and keep us on track and go like, no, you don't need to re-record that part for the 30th time. It's really good. Like, and we need that sometimes. I think we're all the victim of our own sort of perfectionism, and Malcolm helped, really steer the ship, and and we ended up with a record that I think we're all really, really, really proud of, and we're not, and however many months deep now, and I don't think any of us are really sick of it, and we're excited to play the song. So it's about the best indication we could have that it's going to hopefully stand
in our own minds at least.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I think that was the other thing that we kind of realised when we were going into it, is we sort of weren't overly worried with if it did sort of come together as being disparate. We didn't necessarily want it to be, but if it did, because we had a really strong sort of conviction about each of the songs that we were putting on there, that wasn't a huge concern. We were working towards making it more cohesive, but particularly towards when we were kind of doing pre-production on it, there was a lot of just time spent debating over which songs we were going to put on, and there were quite a few that didn't get there, but I think we are all sort of the same view that we picked the best ones.
We made the right choice.
It's definitely not it's an album of songs rather than being a sort of a defined.
Was that always the plan? Like, did you go into it with that in mind, or did that just?
I don't think there's a preconceived idea. I think we always wanted to have the best selection of songs possible over like something that sounded like it had been created at one moment in time and it was all super harmonious. We just wanted. I think we always did. It wasn't a sort of like we didn't have a preconceived idea that we were gonna just.
Yeah, I mean, I like. A lot of my favourite records are records like that, but I think you've also got to maybe play your strengths, and we're not particularly patient people, so I think you have to have an element of patience to be able to see an idea that you start with all the way through, and we've kind of it was also probably a product of the environment we were writing in, where we're just sort of trying out a whole lot of different shit and coming with a whole lot of different songs and really liking them all. And so I don't know, Malcolm was the guy stitching all that stuff together, making it all come together. It's a bit of a patchwork,